We have an update on an injured Raw superstar. Elsewhere, more NXT names are set to get call-ups during the draft. And are WWE about to bring back a former superstar for Uncle Howdy's return? It's all in the wrestling news. Hello everyone, Jack and Ross with the Monday morning wrestling news. We have an update on an injured Raw superstar who's been out for quite a while actually.
Yeah, this update comes to us from PW Insider, who are saying, for those who have asked about Eric the Viking Raiders' recovery, that said that like it's his full name, but it's not. We are told that he was in Birmingham, Alabama this past week for his latest evaluation as he works towards returning to action.
I'm wondering how he'll slot in once he makes his return. First of all, that's good news.
Yes.
Hopefully he's back soon. But I wonder if where he's going to slot back in, because Ivar really has sort of thrived in a mid-card sense, but he's really been a highlight of the mid-card since being forced into this singles role.
Banger after banger after banger, some might say about Ivar by himself. He's had obviously Valerie Haller next to him as well, but the most interesting thing about Ivar is the fact he's gone to NXT and appeared more as a real human man rather than a Viking.
He was in jeans, he was in a t-shirt.
Yeah,
there was
big
a bit
booties
of
on.
Boots. There was a bit of a sort of kind of Viking adjacent waistcoaty sort of thing,
Yeah.
but that was just, he looked more like a biker really.
But he was doing all his wrestling moves that we see, as his springboard off the ropes and whatnot, in these dad jeans. So
it was amazing.
It's interesting where that one goes from last week's NXT forwards, but it would it feel weird to have them just slot Eric straight back in there, because they weren't exactly doing much as a tag team. Ivar, you could argue, is doing more as a singles.
Yeah, so and then maybe would Eric be given a chance as a singles guy as well? Would that lead to a rivalry between the pair? There's various options open to them, but obviously we all hope Eric's recovery goes well. I think every Brit in the world only knows Birmingham, Alabama as that place where wrestlers get surgery.
Yeah, Triple H went there for his quad, didn't he? Other wrestlers have been there. Doctor, I've forgotten his name.
Me too, but he's that notable he's like a world leader in that sort of injury.
He loves a pair of knees, didn't he, that Doctor?
Yes. Down in NXT, more names might be getting set for call-ups during the draft. Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful says that the timing of the draft is also very deliberate, saying WWE have planned it for the week of the NFL draft to capitalise on quote-unquote draft fever, as they have done in the past. It's always around this sort of year usually, this sort of time of year usually, and the Americans love a draft.
So if it's going to be like the NFL, surely NXT being the bottom one will get the first draft pick and get to pick like Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, that's how it works. I'm just surprised you've admitted that NXT is the bottom one.
Yeah, well, it's got to be in the pantheon. It's just in terms of sheer money.
Okay, yeah.
One's clearly developmental, the other two are, a bit higher up there. But Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns going to NXT.
The Rock in NXT. Fightful's Corey Brennan has given an update as well on how NXT factors into the upcoming WWE Draft. First of all, he says the final testament and Ivar's appearance on this past Tuesday's edition of NXT is setting the stage for other main roster stars to make the jump during the draft as part of a renewed focus on making NXT the third brand once again. So Brennan's also been told that the next 2 weeks of NXT programming will focus on the draft in the lead up to the spring break in PLE, as shown on this past Tuesday's episode of NXT.
Worrying signs, isn't it, Jack? Worrying signs. They might get rid of the bollocks that makes NXT what is NXT. If they're going to make it the traditional third brand again, will they get rid of the nonsense that makes NXT so special?
Or will the superstars coming down from the main roster to NXT just be sucked in and enriched by the bollocks? Like it's improved, many would say.
I don't know. It's worrying signs.
It's worked for Corbin. He's done all right. He's done all right. I'm trying to think how he's changed. Really, he's just had more banter.
He's just been a normal human boy, but also like a teenage boy alongside Bron Breakker, hasn't he?
Yeah.
What you used to be like when you were a teenager. What you used to be like. What you like now is the lads having a little bit of
Off camera, you were really nasty to Owen about the Liverpool result of the weekend, and I think that's quite
just
similar.
like that.
Yeah.
But it's all for the banter, Owen. All for the banter.
With that in mind, though, who could be heading up to the main roster to Raw or to SmackDown from NXT? Fightful has some more on that.
They're saying, as for what the NXT talent be expected to come up in the draft, Brennan has spoken to several talent who have been told by Shawn Michaels this week that he isn't sure who is going to be brought up from NXT in the draft. However, Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov are said to be a lock for Raw or SmackDown in the draft, while Roxanne Perez's status for the draft still remains up in the air, despite on-television teasers and an appearance on Raw last week.
Yeah, she's been saying, the next time I lose this belt won't be because someone's beating me for it, it'll be because I'm going to vacate it when I get called up to Raw or SmackDown.
There is that quite just because she's so young. She's 22, Jack, I saw last week. 22.
But it's weird because despite that, she still had probably more indie experience than a lot of the NXT roster. So it's very straight. She could well be called up in terms of her in-ring ability. tomorrow if they wanted, because she is already that good in the ring.
But as for Carmelo Hayes, you would have thought that Stand and Deliver would have been the perfect send-off, a definitive win for his big rival, making Trick Willie look big and strong. We're getting the steel cage match now, so you'd assume that would happen again.
Yeah, I'm quite glad though they've got a chance to, because many people were underwhelmed by that match at the Stand and Deliver show. Not because it was a bad match or anything, but just because it had been built as like,
because there wasn't 17 kickouts.
It had been built as the most grand epic match since like Gargano and Ciampa's feud, and it just was like a pretty good main event. It was strange. Elsewhere in NXT, Tony D'Angelo's family and Baron Corbin have been discussed as possible additions to Raw or SmackDown. So Corbin could be going up, possibly with Bron Breakker, maybe.
I don't know, after SmackDown, because Bron was there on his own, wasn't he?
Yeah. Tony D. That would be incredible on the main roster.
Well, Tony D's currently on holiday, so we'll have to see what frame of mind he's in. You know, the holidays can change people, can't they? You spend 2 weeks in Cape Verde or somewhere and you just come back a different man.
Yeah, that's true. Fightful also say that the roster movements, will be in part called by WWE's TV partners. They say, when we asked if there'll be hard and fast rules regarding the draft or more lenience, we were told that input would be accepted from media partners, specifically their upcoming partners in CW and Netflix. However, one WWE source said that the Netflix deal is closer to next year's draft than this year's draft, so that won't be something we need to worry about for a while.
Surely Netflix would be gripped by the Chase U saga.
Yeah.
And they'll be on the main roster, and obviously Andre Chase, a world champion. That's what my thinking is coming out with that statement there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. No, it does. That sounded really sarcastic.
It did, yeah. The documentaries you can make about the Chase U saga and the dirty dealings of Andre Chase in particular. JC Jane saving the uni via saucy calendar. I'm
just imagining them. Have you seen the trailer for the WrestleMania documentary behind the scenes that hasn't yet come out, even though I think it's
the one
delayed.
that put out last Wednesday.
Yeah. Because no, they didn't put it out in the end though.
They were meant to though, weren't they?
Yeah, they were meant to. And it's got like The Rock sitting in a room and he's all serious and talking about, well, we had a chance to pivot. I'd like the idea of Chase U doing that. All totally in kayfabe, but acting like they're speaking like Andre's like, yeah, I couldn't believe it when JC came in. She just transformed the whole universe.
It's gambling's an addiction.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, could WWE be bringing back an ex-superstar for the rumoured Uncle Howdy return? PW Insider have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, they said several independent promotions have announced that Eric Rowan has pulled out of upcoming events due to contractual obligations. PW Insider Elite.com has confirmed that Rowan was in Pittsburgh this past week, which is where WWE talents often go for medical testing. Boo, boo, boo. I don't know why that noise came out of my head, but there we go. Eric Rowan could be coming back. There has been teasers. There was one before Raw last week. There was one before SmackDown this week as well. Lights going off in the arena. Some sort of old-fashioned music playing, which is sort of hinting towards Uncle Howdy. We
Text popping up on the screen.
It was hello in the bottom corner of a Bronson Reed promo during last week's Raw. There was another one during SmackDown, but I forgot what it said in the bottom corner because I was watching it very tired. But it looks like Uncle Howdy's coming back. So obviously Eric Rowan there. I tell you what, there'll be a lot of people going, why? Because I did see this on the Twitter. Go and watch that Bray Wyatt documentary and you'll not be asking why anymore. Why Uncle Howdy's coming back? Who wants to see an Uncle Howdy return? Because it was Bray and his brother living out their dream together. They couldn't finish it obviously because of the most horrible of circumstances. So Bo getting to finish it on his terms. It's a story I'm here for.
And we'll be looking out for further sort of subliminal clues, I suppose, in the weeks to come. If you haven't seen, the podcast we did last week was a record length one. It was horrible.
6 hours and 58 minutes.
People seem to have really enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody, for watching it somehow. I think many people might have split it into chunks.
You have to.
Yeah, you would have to. But also, a lot of it's a blur to me now. But one thing I do remember is Matthew was incredibly skeptical about these teasers for some reason.
Yeah.
He was. Every time you brought it up, he was like, no.
And he hated Jason Kelsey for some reason.
He did. He
One
was
of the biggest names in the world currently.
Thank you to everybody who pointed out the reason why Jason Kelsey was involved in specifically the Rey Mysterio mask. It's because in a recent celebration,
he had one on,
he had a lucha mask on, Maybe a Rey Mysterio mask, that would make sense, well, there you have it.
But thanks for watching the podcast.
Oh, my God.
I'm glad it went well.
Obviously, we were horrified to remember that it's Dynasty this weekend, not because we're not looking forward to it. It looks like a really strong card, but just because it's relentless. It's just relentless wrestling.
It never ends.
So that means you'll be looking forward to pictures from myself, Ross, and Andrew this week, which usually goes out on the Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday night, and then all the regular pay-per-view content, predictions will be live, and then we'll have the live stream on the YouTube channel, what happened at, and other news coming from the show as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for watching this news video. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. We'll be back with more news later on today on this very channel as well. And thanks for watching. I've been Jack, this has been Ross, and we'll see you very soon.